Unfortunately, this administration made a really bad call.
At the city level or at the federal level?
The federal level. They pretty much killed San Francisco from being what it was, the blockchain capital of the world. We owned it, and we don't anymore because the Biden administration, for whatever reason, decided they want to push this industry offshore. And so it's London, Singapore, Dubai that really are the global capitals of blockchain. That's unfortunate. Maybe our vacancy rate would be half of what it is here in San Francisco. It's 30%.
Guys, this is all the proof we need right here that Ripple was working with Trump on the executive order 13372. This is Ripple's CEO, Chris Larsen, said we had it. We were the number one. Biden administration shut it down. First 100 days in office, Trump executive order 13772, core principles for regulating the United States financial system, is an executive order signed by U.S. President Trump on February 3rd, 2017, during his first 100 days in office. It was to establish a new financial system. Signed, sealed, and delivered right there, and this is the proof.
And we don't anymore because the Biden administration, for whatever reason, decided they want to push this industry offshore. And so it's London, Singapore, Dubai that really are the global capitals of blockchain. That's unfortunate. Maybe our vacancy rate would be half of what it is here in San Francisco. It's 30%. It might have been 15% if we still were the global blockchain capital of the world. So that was a missed opportunity. It's really unfortunate. It hurt the city.
The latest with Ripple Labs.
The missed opportunity. Trump definitely was back in Ripple. You guys seen the ties to Jared Kushner, Robinhood. We did that video. Shout out to Nerd Nation. This is actually an amazing video right here. Look closely. Katie Horn explains 2015 Ripple settlement. And this is very interesting.
So the question of what Ripple did to get in trouble is obviously a complicated question. But just a simple answer is we had been receiving information that Ripple, and of course Ripple of 3 years ago is a very different company than Ripple Labs today. But we had received information as a government that Ripple Labs back in the day didn't have appropriate anti-money laundering or KYC, know your customer requirements in place or policies. And so to test that information, we actually did a series of undercover buys as a government. And I worked with 𝕝𝕚𝕟𝕜𝕤 on that.
Undercover buys at Ripple?
In that case. And what we found through the undercover buys and the undercover agents were that they were able to move fairly significant amounts of money on the Ripple network without providing any identifying information of any kind, with just only an email address. And that caused a lot of concern for the government, given the significant amounts of money that was being moved. So that's one thing that prompted our investigation into Ripple Labs. And as I mentioned, it was a much different company. Back in those days, they didn't have an AML policy in place that they were following, and they didn't have a chief compliance officer.
I'm here to show you there's a lot of interesting things going on here. This is Katie Horn, former federal prosecutor who prosecuted the Ripple case that basically says Ripple is a money service business license now. I actually researched this guy because this is the guy who I thought was 𝕊𝕚𝕟𝕤𝕤. And the clip with Chris Larsen, it's kind of interesting that he popped up again, though. This is Jerry Brizzo. So I thought it was 𝕊𝕚𝕟𝕤𝕤, but it's Jerry Brizzo. I did research and I actually found this whole video. I'm going to be doing a little bit more research on it. Shout out to Nerd Nation on this find. But Katie Horn sent me down the rabbit hole on the settlement agreement, which I want to take a look at. I believe I might know who the insider is on the settlement agreement.
And it took a while between the time of the investigation and the time of the, it's not prosecution, but of the settlement. Is that right?
That's right, Jerry, and I'm glad you said it's not a prosecution, because I think an important thing to realize here is people say, oh, it's a criminal prosecution. Actually, there was not a prosecution. There were no indictments handed down. It was a non-prosecution agreement. What happened to Ripple was a FinCEN enforcement action. So what we had with Ripple, our office had, was a settlement agreement.
Settlement agreement, FinCEN enforcement, money service business, AML compliance, move forward on the evolution of money.
And it took a couple years from the inception of the investigation to the settlement agreement.
We were about to, XRP, I believe, was about to be the global currency through the executive order with Trump. And I will be jumping down that rabbit hole. But here's the settlement agreement from FinCEN right here. I'll show you guys who I thought might be the insider. XRP did not conduct an independent review of AML program. But if you scroll down here a little bit farther, it says on November 2013, there was $32,000 in transactions overseas. January 2014, more transactions. But if you actually go to right here, I was just looking at this. Okay, Long Court versus Enterprises, and then basically right here. Okay. On September 30th, 2013, they negotiated a deal for $250,000 transaction by email for the sale of XRP, the virtual currency, with a third-party individual. Now, XRP2 provided the individual with the Know Your Customer KYC form and asked that he be returned along with appropriate identification in order to move forward with the transaction. The individual replied that another source would provide the XRP virtual currency and did not require anywhere near much as paperwork. Essentially threatened to go elsewhere. Within the hours, XRP agreed to email and dispose of the KYC agreement. The open source information indicates that this individual is an investor in Ripple Labs, has a prior felony, and his name is C. United States versus Roger Ver. So hold on. It's kind of like Roger Ver is behind the whole FinCEN settlement. That is kind of interesting. And then Katie Horn is there. Roger Ver, federal U.S. Treasury Department, and it seems like they've been on Roger Ver for quite some time. This to me seems like it's real odd. Shout out to Nerd Nation Unbox on that amazing find right there. What do you guys think about that? I thought this was interesting. $6.2 billion in U.S. equipment vanished. $6.2 billion in U.S. equipment vanished under the Biden administration. Interesting. Ripple Labs, the agreement. FinCEN announcements. First civil enforcement action against digital currency company. Of course, Trump, this is the actual executive order they signed. They sent me down the rabbit hole a little bit deeper on Katie Horn. I'm actually going to come back to that in 1 second. XDC is now available on the baddest wallet on the planet, the VuLLZiLLa wallet. Download the VuLLZiLLa wallet, XRPayNet wallet. It's a must-have. Link in the description. I went down the rabbit hole a little bit more on Katie Horn. Katie Horn, who was the federal prosecutor in the Ripple case, who I just showed you from Nerd Nation's video.
So the question of what...
Now, Katie Horn, this is kind of interesting here. Dixon takes over Katie Horn's board seat at OpenSea. If you guys recall, there was just a case where they prosecuted an OpenSea insider trading case. It's kind of interesting. We always see Katie Horn where there's civil enforcement or criminal actions, or we won't say criminal, it's civil. But Dixon takes over Katie Horn's board seat at OpenSea. Now, that sent me down the rabbit hole on Chris Dixon also. It's kind of interesting. A16Z Chris Dixon is joining the board of directors of NFT platform OpenSea. A16Z Chris Dixon has joined the board of NFT token trading platform OpenSea. I'm excited to welcome Chris Dixon to OpenSea board directors. Dixon is taking former A16Z venture investor Katie Horn's seat. Horn joined the board of the NFT firm in July 2021. The venture firm led a $100 million Series B financing round. Now, if you guys see OpenSea, I should have pulled it up prior. I just want to show you guys OpenSea insider. OpenSea insider trading case. It's kind of interesting that Katie Horn was there and there was some insider trading going on. That are prosecuted Department of Justice, former employee of NFT Marketplace charged, first employee of NFT Marketplace sentenced. OpenSea manager withdraws application for bail pending appeal. Are we serving a 3-month sentence for NFT insider trading? Okay, that's 1 hour ago. Now, is Katie Horn behind that? I don't know. She says she's full-time crypto now. So, what's your thoughts on that, guys? Now, I did do some research on Chris Dixon and A16Z.
Like, we were amazed at kind of the number of applications, and so it's just really exciting to do, and we're hoping for another great session. And last time we had we got hit with COVID, and so we kind of encapsulate all that information and do a program. And frankly, it just really kind of beat our expectations in terms of just the excitement level, the great companies that came out of it.
It's kind of interesting because Chris Dixon, DAI, says he's behind the ETH pass. Now, it's kind of interesting. You can tell Katie Horn and Chris Dixon switching seats and sharing positions at OpenSea and A16Z.
The number, I think we had over 1 million views on the videos, and so it was just great. And so we said, hey, why don't we do it again? And so that was sort of the origins of the program you're in now. And as Jeff said, like, we were amazed at kind of the number of applications, and so it's just really exciting to do, and we're hoping for another great session. And last time we had we got hit with COVID, and so we didn't get to do it all in person. So hopefully this, for 3 years of the internet, each one had its kind of dominant network type.
Here we go.
Each one also had kind of its what I think of as its kind of is each era is modern internet began with the web, late 60s, and there was sort of government and academic kind of eras of the internet. There talk about is the way I kind of view the history of the internet. There's three eras, three kind of broad histories of eras of the internet. There was kind of the sort of prehistory, which is, the actual internet started in the late 60s, and there was sort of government and academic kind of use cases, but kind of really the modern internet began with the web, 1989. Then you had sort of the internet boom in the 90s. Obviously, today it's a sort of, throughout, it permeates all of our lives. It's the importance is indisputed, but for a long time during my career, that was actually quite controversial, and there were a lot of ups and downs along the way. But basically, I kind of view it, and I'll go into more detail, as breaking down to three kind of core eras, and I believe we're entering the third era now. And then, and kind of the way I view it is, each era is marked by having a key network architecture, and I'll talk more about this, but networks are kind of in my mind, the killer app of the internet. And the architecture, there's a very interesting thing, which is the architecture of how you build those networks has all sorts of downstream consequences in terms of the economics and the user experience and other kinds of things. So there's kind of this nice symmetry where the way I view it is there's sort of 3 eras of the internet. Each one had its kind of dominant network type. Each one also had kind of its what I think of as its canonical computing primitive. So the web.
Basically what he's saying is you got a lot of winners and a lot of losers when you have new technology. This is kind of interesting, guys. A16Z, Andreessen Horowitz, this is 3 months ago. Also checked out their page. There's actually some hidden gem videos on here I will be taking another look at. One of them is going to be creator and founder conversation with Greg from Solana, co-founder Yoga Labs. It's kind of interesting to see Solana 1 month ago on A16Z page. Chris Dixon, Solana, new USDC deal. Just saying. Brian Armstrong's in here too. We've been following that. Jen Wang, a conversation with Optimism founder. So we've been doing our research on Optimism, which Coinbase is back. And pretty much, guys, I almost feel like this is the great reset in cryptocurrency as far as going back to follow the money tactic, right? You're going to see Coinbase and A16Z, Andreessen Horowitz, and then you're going to see Optimism, their Build a Base program. Solana just signed a deal with Circle, XLM, XRP, XRPayNet. Guys, I believe there's going to be a huge opportunity here in the evolution of money. I want to give a huge shout out to Gren Rippler. He says subscribe to the #1 crypto news outlet, BuLLZiLLa. CKJ Crypto News. CKJ all day. YouTuber, NFT, XRP Army, Bullish Family Fitness Gains, because we did the 90-day fitness challenge. Shout out the bag with this intro too. Gren Rippler. Subscribe to the #1 crypto news show on the planet. Also, this will be my video for my morning live stream, but we will be live tonight with a special guest. So don't forget to smash that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, notification bell, You do not want to miss tonight's live stream. I got the formula, stack them bags, and it's simple. We're just getting started like an intro. We the new heroes. Went to zero. What they gonna say when we blow? Price went beast mode. What to look for? You ain't get, we know, but you ain't get the decode.